A lot of things are happening in wrestling, and we got to talk about it. So let's take a look at the topics for today's video. All right, guys, kicking things off on this video, we're going to talk about Anthony Ogogo voicing his frustrations with AEW. Also, we're going to talk about a possible NXT call-up to the main roster. And then, of course, we got to talk about two returns. Bray Wyatt reportedly wants Triple H to bring back, and it appears that this could very well happen. So we're going to talk about it. As always, timestamps in the description down below. So I want to kick things off. I want to talk about Anthony Ogogo first, because if you guys aren't familiar with Anthony Ogogo, I wouldn't blame you. We've seen him on AEW television, but for the most part, he's been relegated to AEW Dark Elevation, whatever. Now, first things first, before I even read his quote or whatever it may be, Anthony Ogogo is a pro boxer turned pro wrestler. And some people get acclimated very quickly to the sport. Anthony Ogogo still has a lot to learn. But from what we've seen in the beginning of Anthony Ogogo in AEW to what we see now in Anthony Ogogo, I'll just be the first one to say it. I think there's been an improvement. Obviously, he has the look. I think he has the gimmick. I think he has the presentation. So I can totally understand where he's coming from here, and I'm going to explain why, even though I understand a lot of people might disagree with me. So basically, Anthony Ogogo was speaking with Cultaholic for Desert Island Grasps. And basically, here's the thing, right? He really didn't have issues talking about his frustrations. He actually mentioned that he got frustrated because of the pizza guy that was on TV. I forget his name. He's that indie wrestler that was on AEW television. He got some backstage segments, the guy that's constantly spinning pizzas on his hand, whatever. So Anthony Ogogo basically said, look, I did a little tweet, half joking, half being serious, just being like, this pizza guy, who is not Shawn Michaels in the ring, has had more time on AEW TV this year than I have. He also goes on to say, it pisses me off because it's supposed to be a sports-based product. I understand what they're doing. I get it. I just want to wrestle. I want to get good and have time. He got kicked in the face in 3 seconds. I don't want that spot. I just want to be on TV and show people how hard I'm working and how good I can be. I'll be patient, which I am being, but I'm also going to work hard in the interim, and that's what I'm doing. Hopefully, I'll get my shot soon enough. Now, yeah, I kind of agree with this, right? If you think about it, AEW themselves told us that they are a sports-based product. And as a sports-based product, I think we all understand that AEW should not be doing stuff like this because they make fun of WWE for being sports entertainment. They said that their vision is different than WWE's, which is completely fine. I think that's part of the reason why I like the idea of the formation of AEW. But when you have an indie wrestler who's not contracted to the company get this TV time, and people on this roster are having a hard time getting TV time, that's a problem. And I don't really care what people will tell me here. Whether you like Anthony Ogogo or not, that's not really the issue here. The issue is that there are a lot of people on this roster not being used, and there's no opportunities given to them. But you have people from New Japan, you have people from this Forbidden Door, you have people that are coming into the company getting TV time. I would be frustrated as well, and I totally understand where he's coming from here. Guys, Cameron Grimes appears to be moving up to the main roster. This is actually pretty exciting news. So while speaking on the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that there are plans for WWE to bring Cameron Grimes to the main roster following his program with Joe Gacy. Brian Alvarez also noted that it looked like WWE finished up this feud based on the finish of their recent match on NXT. Look, from what it sounds like, Cameron Grimes going to the main roster was kind of inevitable. We've already seen him on Raw. He made his debut. He recruited the OC to come to NXT for that 6-man tag team match. I think Cameron Grimes is a hell of a talent. I thought he was a hell of a talent in Impact. I think he's a hell of a talent in NXT. I feel like everything that WWE has handed him this far has been really good, to the point where he's been able to make it work. Back when we saw the $1 Million Championship, back, even now, just kind of seeing what he's been doing with Joe Gacy and Schism, this guy takes virtually anything that is given to him and he can make it work. And that is the type of superstar that you need on your main roster. Now, I'm not saying Cameron Grimes is going to be, world champion. I'm not saying you got to put him in feuds with Roman Reigns, but you want to give the main roster a little bit of a you want to turn the main roster into a place where NXT talent can transition easily and get over pretty easily. And I think Cameron Grimes can do comedy stuff. I think he could do serious stuff. I think you could put him in pretty much any situation, and I think he'll be able to connect with the crowd. And I think you can be over without necessarily having to hold a championship. Now, I'm not saying he can't win a mid-card championship belt, but this is not a situation in which I move Cameron Grimes immediately onto the main roster right away. One thing, not into the title picture right away. I think you put him on the main roster, let him just have some good matches, have some nice mid-card feuds, get him acclimated to the main roster, show people who Cameron Grimes is, give a little backstory to who Cameron Grimes is, and let them do this organically, because you don't need to rush that title picture. You don't need to do anything like that. One thing I would love to see, Seth Rollins is now a baby face. He's doing the U.S. Open challenges and stuff like that. I would love to see a scenario where maybe Cameron Grimes actually answers and loses. Just being able to have a freaking amazing match with Seth Rollins, it could be a really cool thing. I always go back to John Cena and Kurt Angle, right? John Cena answering that open challenge, even though he lost, he looked so good. People started to really see, there could be a future there. And I think you almost want to replicate that here. I always go back to Seth Rollins and Neville, now known as Pac. I think those matches where sometimes you don't lose, you still walk out the winner. This could be one of those situations. I'm excited about Cameron Grimes going to the main roster. Personally, I would like to see him on Raw just because I think there would be a hell of a lot of talent for him to work with. But of course, Raw's roster is getting a little bit more saturated versus SmackDown. So perhaps this could be a situation where he does go on to SmackDown. But we'll see kind of how WWE goes about it. All right, guys. Bray Wyatt reportedly wants 2 former WWE superstars to return, and it sounds like Triple H could be willing to make this happen. So WrestleVotes obviously has broken tons of stories in the past. So he actually spoke, Give Me Sport and WrestleVotes spoke. There are people that Bray Wyatt wants to work with and that he likes to work with. The 2 names that were brought up was Bo Dallas and Eric Rowan. And if Eric Rowan wants to come back, I'm sure they'd allow that if Bray also wanted that. So here's the situation here. Bo Dallas signing with WWE could have already possibly been done because there's been rumors for a minute that Bo Dallas was already returning. If Triple H is going to bring these 2 back to the company, I want to see something with Bray Wyatt. I don't want to see Bo Dallas without Bray Wyatt. And truth be told, I don't want to see Eric Rowan do anything without Bray Wyatt. And I think because of the real life connection between Bray and Bo, obviously I think it's very fitting. I think when you look at Eric Rowan, historically, everything that he's ever done in WWE was always alongside the Wyatt family, or at least Luke Harper. So I don't want to see him go off onto his own thing. I think if you're going to bring people back, you got to just complete the overall presentation. One interesting thing is that there's a rumor that the NXT character that is being teased right now known as the name Scripps. For some reason, Bo Dallas is a rumored name for that. I don't think there is anything to that, but I just kind of wanted to bring that up as well. So if WWE brings these 2 people back, I want to see them aligned with Bray Wyatt. No other way. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.